Well, good morning. It's Friday. Welcome to 10 with Tom. We might have a little noise this morning as there's something very, very exciting going on behind me. As I'm in here starting to work on how we're going to set our Sunday school room up for our social distancing classes, behind me in the sanctuary, there are people getting together and they're rehearsing and they're playing some music. What an exciting time as we get ready to come back together. So, this morning on 10 with Tom, if it gets loud, I'm sorry for that, but that's okay because it's a good excitement that's coming. I do want to share with you this morning a story that I love, and it deals with a subject that I'm so thankful that so many of you have shown at work in your lives over the past few years, and that is the subject of compassion. The word compassion means to suffer with. And I have seen you in many instances suffering with those who are going through difficult times and doing what you can to make a difference. And I want you to know that I appreciate that. One of the things that jumps out at me, and I don't remember which hurricane it was, but shortly after the hurricane went through and people were trying to clean up in St. Augustine, seeing the number of you that were going out and handing water bottles to the workers and just lending a hand in whatever way you could. I know there were folks who helped with tearing down a wall because there was so much damage to it so that it could be rebuilt while the family was gutting the inside of their house. Stepping in and doing something for somebody. What an incredible thing. And I was thinking back this week, some of you may have seen on the news, where the dam broke in Midland, Michigan. Well, several years ago, I took a group to Shepherd, Michigan, which is near Midland. And some of the group that was staying in Shepherd actually worked in Midland, and I was among those. And the compassion that they showed to that little town then. And boy, this has really stirred my heart. Wondering what can be done to help the folks in Shepherd, Michigan and Midland, Michigan right now. And so when you're moved by things, that shows that you have compassion. And we see compassion from Christ in one of my favorite stories. It's Mark chapter 6, beginning at verse 30. And it's a story I'm sure you're all familiar with. It says, "The apostles gathered around Jesus, and they reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going, that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, 'Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place, and let's get some rest.' And so they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized they knew what they were doing. And they ran on foot from all the towns and got to the other side ahead of them. And when Jesus landed and he saw such a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And so he began teaching them many things." Now, as we stop the story at this point, Jesus and the disciples are hungry. They need a chance to rest. They've had a rough time. The disciples have just been off on a journey. And now, as they go to rest, they're swarmed by this huge crowd. But notice Jesus didn't say, "Go away, get out of here. Let's have some peace and quiet." No, he had compassion on them. He saw that they were suffering with a hunger for what he had to share. And he suffered with them and went, "Let's go for it." And so, it says that by this time it was late in the day. And so his disciples came to him. "This is a remote place," they said, "and it's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." And they said to him, but he answered them, "You get them something to eat." And Jesus again showing compassion. But they said to him, "That would take 8 months of a man's wages. Are we to go and spend that much money on bread and give it to them to eat?" And I think what they're really saying is, if we spend all this money on them, how are we going to feed ourselves? We're not going to have enough for us. Jesus wasn't concerned about the us as much as he was the them, the ones he was having compassion on. So then he says, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." And when they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. And we all know what happens from there. Jesus, filled with compassion, feeds over 5,000 with this meager offering that was given to him. In one of the other Gospels, we learn that these gifts came from a small child, a little boy who gave up his lunch. And so somebody gave it to Jesus, and Jesus takes it and he multiplies it, right? And does a miracle and feeds the crowd and feeds their soul. And so that's what compassion is. It's finding the need, meeting the need, ministering to the full person. Right? Many times I've ended up spending time in a hospital after somebody's gotten hurt, waiting with them until parents get there, or waiting for them to get out of surgery, or just taking some of the loneliness away. It's not always a fun thing, but you hurt for them, and you're suffering with them, and you go and you just try and share some love with them. And I've been on the receiving end of that as well. I can remember one night in the Gaga pit, we were out here playing, and I tried to jump over the ball, and while I was in the air, somebody hit it from behind me, and I landed on top of the ball. And when I landed, I tried to brace myself with my hands, and I got my hands to about this point. I don't know if you can see that, but they were bent. They weren't all the way down yet. And my full body fell on top of my hands, and I heard a pop. And this ring finger, if I'm pointing these fingers at the camera, my ring finger was pointing at a wall over there. We knew something was wrong. Well, it was youth group, and it was me and Mr. Jim. We were the leaders there that night. Well, Mr. Jim couldn't take me to the hospital because then there'd have been nobody here for youth group. But Adrian and Chris, two of our students at the time, they were seniors. Adrian said, I'll take him to the hospital, and Chris goes, I'll go along. And they went with me to the hospital and showed compassion. They missed the games, they missed the lesson, but they hung out with me in the hospital. And not only did they hang out and get me there, but they stayed with me until the doctor came in. They were there for me. They were showing compassion. And so I hope that you keep finding it in yourself to show the kind of compassion that Jesus showed. And we're going to have, I'm sure, many more opportunities. There will be service projects to do. There will be future disasters. There will be families that go through things who need things from us. And so I really want to encourage you, be a part of making a difference for somebody else. So that's our focus for today, is just spending time in compassion. Now, I do want to fill you in real quickly on a couple of things. As you can see, we haven't started moving things around, but we're about to. It's going to look a lot different in here. Chairs are going to be spread out. We'll have room probably for between 12 and maybe 15 people. And so you could be looking forward to that. We do want to encourage you, when you come to Bible study, make sure that you bring your own Bible. Yes, we have Bibles on the shelves, but every time we use the Bibles in class, we're going to have to disinfect them. And so we encourage you to bring your own Bible, or bring a Bible app on your phone that you can use. And so we want you to be able to do that and to work with us through that process. Also, I want to let you know that our youth leadership team is going to begin meeting again. We're going to start on Sunday, June the 7th, and we'll meet in the afternoon after church. It'll be at 2 o'clock. And so those of you who are on our youth leadership team, we encourage you to be a part of that. If you're not on the youth leadership team and would like to be a part of that, we would love to have you get involved with that. And we're going to meet in this room. It'll be Sunday at 2, from 2 to 3:30 on June the 7th. Now, what do you need to do to be on the youth leadership team? You need to want to be a leader. You need to want to learn how to serve God better, take a leadership role in some of the things we do, be willing to help lead things during youth group, and help participate in a ministry here at church. And so if that's who you are and that's what you'd like to be a part of, we encourage you to be a part of that beginning June 7th. So we wanted you to know about that. Also, in our email yesterday, before we got into the tabletop thing, we sent out the letter from the church of all the things that are going on, how things are going to be changing, when things will start to reopen. And the youth information is in there. If you've got questions on that, please don't hesitate to let us know, because we want to work through that with you. And we're looking forward to when we can have business as usual, but we don't know how long that's going to be yet. The last thing for today, we do have a new Family Feud question. And the new Family Feud question is kind of a fun one. I don't know that you've ever considered having a tattoo on a baby, but if babies could have tattoos, what would a tattoo on a baby most likely be? So if your baby got a tattoo, what would they get tattooed on them? That's all we got for today. Have a wonderful Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on 10 with Tom.